So now we're going to change gears, and we're going to have a couple of lightning talks on new developments in the market. One of them is very exciting. A couple of years ago, Mount Sinai made news and actually history in the New York marketplace by signing the largest lease with a private building owner in the city. And that was actually a big development for life sciences in the city, because traditionally the New York academic centers have done their building on their campuses or have purchased their own buildings close by and renovated them themselves. This was the first time that they were actually partnering with a private building owner, Georgetown Properties, and it was the largest life science lease in the city that year. And now they have completed the build out of that space, and they've launched their new Discovery and Innovation Center in Midtown West. And so Sarah Millar, the director of the Black Family Stem Cell Institute at the Icahn School of Medicine, is going to talk about that. And then we have our own Sam Sia, who is the founder of Harlem BioSpace, talking about Harlem BioSpace 2, which is going to open in the Mink building. It is another 10,000 square feet in Q1 of 2024. Sam is also now the vice provost for the Fourth Purpose and Strategic Impact and professor of professional biomedical engineering at the Columbia University.
Hello everybody, and thank you so much for attending our presentations for this session. My name is Sarah Millar. I'm the Senior Associate Dean for Basic Research at Mount Sinai, and I'm also Director of the Institute for Regenerative Medicine. So I'd like to tell you about a really exciting new initiative that we have in Midtown West, where we've launched a new discovery and innovation space. So this just shows a picture from our grand opening, which happened on October 5th. So here you can see the location of this space. Let's see if I can use a pointer. Do you know if there's a pointer on here? Let's look like it. Okay. It's if you look in the orange shaded areas, there's two buildings that are shaded in orange. The Innovation Center is in the right-hand side building, which is on 11th Avenue. And it's at 787, and then it's immediately adjacent to another building at 619 West 54th Street, which I'll tell you a little bit more about as well. So this just shows a blow up of those spaces. So what's very helpful and exciting is that at 619 West 54th Street, there's the location of the New York Stem Cell Foundation. There's also a new Center for Engineering and Precision Medicine, which is a joint initiative between Mount Sinai and RPI, which Deepak Vashith will be talking about more this afternoon. And in addition, we have the location of our Human Immune Monitoring Core at 619 West 54th. But mostly I'd like to focus on the new development at 11th Avenue. But its co-location with 619 really is going to stimulate a lot of collaboration. So this is the history of the building. So it originally contained a huge parking garage, so a very different usage than what we have now. So the programs located in the new Innovation Center include both clinical practices and research labs and core facilities. So on the left, you see the list of the clinical operations at this new site. These include breast cancer, a spine center, an imaging center, and an ambulatory surgery center. The research spaces focus on research in neurology and neuroscience, in neuroinflammation, and there's also a bunch of very advanced research cores, including a sophisticated genomics core, a stem cell core, mass spectrometry, gene editing, drug discovery, microscopy, and cytometry. And there's also a vivarium, which is very important for much of the work that will go on there. So just to tell you a little bit about these cores, so the stem cell engineering core focuses on what are called induced pluripotent stem cells. So these are human cells that are derived from adult human tissues, usually blood or skin biopsy. And they have the really amazing property that they can become any type of cell or tissue in the body. So they're used for all sorts of therapeutic purposes, as well as for understanding human disease. So this core focuses on generating these important cells from patient tissues. They use gene editing to introduce disease mutations so that diseases can be studied, and they can also correct disease mutations in these cells for therapeutic purposes. The core provides training in these important procedures, and it also allows the ability to rent equipment and the specialized facilities that they have. And they also provide stem cells for research to other groups, both within and outside Mount Sinai. The Advanced Genomics Technology Core has a large team, and they are really early adopters of the most sophisticated genomics techniques that are available. So they develop new technologies, and they use all of the existing technologies that allow us to really probe gene activity and gene expression and disease mechanisms at an extremely detailed level. And the other core I'd like to highlight is the Mount Sinai Human Immune Monitoring Center. This center is really focused on patients with immune diseases. So that this core is involved in isolating cells from patient tissues and then studying them at a number of different levels in order to really understand disease. And then this helps them to develop or repurpose therapeutics to treat immune diseases, leading to early phase clinical trials. And then biopsies and blood draws from those patients in the trials are then studied within the core in order to refine and improve therapies. This is an example of one of the research laboratories that's located at 11th Avenue. This is led by Brian Kim. He's a dermatologist who focuses on itch, which may sound like a trivial thing unless you actually have it. So he is really interested in the neuroimmune regulation of itch, understanding how itch goes wild in some diseases, and he's developed some really exciting approaches to treat itch conditions. This shows you a little bit more detail about how the spaces are laid out within the 11th Avenue building. So as you can see, there are two research floors that flank the clinical floor. And here's a view of what this actually looks like. So it's a beautiful space. It has a lot of light. It was really nicely designed. The lab spaces are open so that many groups are within the same space, and this really facilitates interactions and collaborations between the different groups. The spaces are laid out adjacent to office and conferencing rooms for further interactions and principal investigator offices. This is the vivarium, or one of the rooms in the vivarium. This is at night when there's a red light on so that the animals know it's nighttime. And this is another really nice feature of this space, which is a beautiful area on the rooftop that has a garden, table tennis. It's a great space for conferencing and for social events that bring scientists together. So thank you very much for listening, and I'd be really happy to take any questions about the Discovery and Innovation Center.
Okay, well, if not, maybe I'll continue, and should still have time for questions. So my name is Sam Sia. I'm a co-founder of Harlem BioSpace, also a professor of biomedical engineering and a vice provost at Columbia University. So I am here to talk about a new expansion of Harlem BioSpace, but really more broadly, what's going on in West Harlem and why really I think it's an important engine for the whole region. I'm just starting with a picture of Kendall Square, and I actually get kind of annoyed when anybody talks about Kendall Square too much, so I'm guilty of that myself. We certainly don't have to copy Kendall Square in what we're doing here in New York, but there are lessons to draw from here. This is a map, relatively recent map, showing a lot of the companies, life science, but also deep tech, that are in Kendall Square. So it took a number of years to develop, but as we know, the whole region around Boston has really been incredible. But still, as of today, look at the number of companies that are really anchored in that area. It's not just about having real estate. There are a lot of great pockets of real estate all around the Boston area, but what makes Kendall Square unique, I think, is really the anchoring to a great academic institution like MIT. It's both the faculty-driven startups that can start here and expand, as well as the access to talent, the density that has been brought up today in an earlier discussion. And so I think, and I am maybe a little bit biased, but I don't think I am wearing both of my hats at Columbia and Harlem BioSpace in just thinking, where could such a cluster be in New York City? And I really think that that opportunity is in West Harlem, because of that reason. Now, there are three academic institutions and campuses right around this area, which is branded the Factory District from the developer here, and I'll talk more about that. That's where our incubator is hosted. This innovation area, the Factory District, is 6 blocks north of the main campus at Columbia, north-south blocks. So pretty short walk. Is 2 blocks east-west from the new 17-acre Manhattanville campus, which I'm not sure how many of you have visited. It's a multi-billion-dollar campus at Columbia, one of the greatest brain research institutes now in the world, right there in the Zuckerman Institute, as well as the business school, the #1 rated business school by the Financial Times in the world, right at the Manhattanville campus. And also CUNY, with a lot of great things, also steps away. So this is literally steps away from this innovation cluster that's happening in the Factory District. 5 different subway lines are accessible within 2 blocks of this area as well. And also actually Riverside Park, it's beautiful, and historic Harlem right east of where we are, where we're actually engaging in some STEM activities. This came up earlier in the discussion on how we can be more inclusive, build a talent pipeline. And so having all of this together, I think, is actually unique in New York City, which has implications for the whole region. Now, I want to brag about Columbia a little bit. I've been a vice provost there for almost 2 years now. And I don't think this has been talked about as much as a lot of us would like everyone to understand. For faculty-driven startups, we have 400 new inventions from Columbia faculty every year. and there's 100+ licenses and options signed every year. 20+ startup companies that involve IP. This is not including software. This is just deep tech and life sciences every year. So out of the technologies are incredible that are coming out of Columbia. A lot of amazing talent that comes from Columbia. Columbia itself, there's awards that are given to student-driven startups. $18 billion raised by Columbia alumni with their startups in the past year. This includes software. $99 billion in the last 5 years in terms of acquisitions of companies led by Columbia alumni. So when you talk about technologies and talent, it's really incredible. And also CUNY, they have some amazing programs, one of which we're really proud to participate in the Icahn program. They have an innovation center as well. So they're literally steps away from this West Harlem region. I want to talk about also Columbia Engineering, which I co-directed the entrepreneurship program for quite a number of years. In addition to the medical innovations, the engineering school at Columbia has been rated either #1 or #2 of all the Ivy League engineering schools. So we have a very, very strong engineering school, 270 faculty members now, and a number of entrepreneurship activities as well. So when we were talking about things like I think Nancy was talking about other things as opposed to just therapeutics and diagnostics. In the previous panel that you saw, Werewolf came from the engineering school. One of the panelists that was on the agenda who somehow didn't come keynotes also was a student startup company from the engineering school that also was at Harlem BioSpace. So really, the engineering part of this, as we know, sometimes can't even be separated by life sciences and a lot of the work that's going on now. It's absolutely critical to the growth of life science innovation, especially the way things are heading now. And I think we have one of the best engineering schools in the country right in West Harlem. And so this is, again, I think important just for the entire tri-state region. A lot of our companies, since we opened 10 years ago to the day, so I don't know what Nancy, really thank Nancy for having this open today. Harlem BioSpace opened on November 1st, 2013. That was exactly 10 years ago to a full house with the support of NYC EDC. And we were one of the very few incubators open at the time. And I got my inspiration from Eva Kramer, by the way, so I really have to thank her for everything she's been doing for the ecosystem here. But in Manhattan, there was really nothing. And my startup company was actually at Eva's place at the time. And since then, we've hosted, I think, over 70 companies, nearly $300 million raised. We have 17 companies that span all sorts of innovations still at our space. Another panelist just now, a company on the last panel, Epistem, I think was very recently at Harlem BioSpace. So this is where I think if we learn from the Kendall Square model, the engine that we built in West Harlem with the unique assets that we have with academic industry and real estate can drive the growth for a lot of these companies to move to a lot of spaces in New York City and in New Jersey and beyond. And so I really hope the main message I want to bring here is don't forget about us in West Harlem. I do see that we are a little bit forgotten, and I think we ought to do more at Columbia, and because I think everything that happens at our space can really benefit everyone. Now, what is happening here with the new expansion? We're going to 10,000 square feet. It's not a lot of space. Objectively speaking, compared to a lot of development. So I think it's for private labs. What we have so far at Harlem BioSpace is all shared. This here will be a little bit of a step up with modules for 4 to 6 people in offices and labs with their own partitions. So a little bit of a step up, but not a huge step up. It's still a very modest amount of space. So we hope we can fill up this space. A lot of those companies can continue to grow. There's also the Tasty building, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard of. It's 300,000 square feet of beautiful space. It's actually in the background right here in this picture from the governor's announcement. That will also host, hopefully, a lot of more significant size initiatives. But having said that, it's still only 300,000 square feet. So I think, again, my message is the more successful we are at our current Harlem BioSpace, which is the most affordable wet lab space in New York City, by the way. We started at $995 per scientist per month. It's unbelievable 10 years ago. It's now been more expensive to $1,200 a month per scientist. It's still unbelievably affordable. The new space that we're opening here for the Mink at the Mink building, if we can fill that up, if Tasty can be filled up, it will be, you can bet on it that a lot of these companies will grow to other parts of the region as well. And again, I think we have unique assets in the region that will help everyone if you take Kendall Square as a growth story to think about. Harlem BioSpace at Mink, private offices. So on the left, we actually sent this out on a newsletter yesterday, is a real-time construction picture of where we are. You can see the modules that are going to be private modules. On the right is a rendering of what it will look like when you first enter. So beautiful, it's going to be beautifully designed, lots of glass, beautiful materials, and really great. I think the architect that we're working with actually does celebrity homes or something like that. So it's really going to, I think, be great. So in addition to the private offices and labs, it'll be additional shared lab space that you can use as well as equipment, amenities, and services. Really part of a bigger community. Volastra right now is right next door to where the incubator is. Volastra, as you might know, I think signed a $1 billion deal with BMS some time ago. We don't take equity. I think we're known to everyone who's worked with us as being very flexible and very easy to work with. We'll continue that ethos at Harlem BioSpace at Mink. Due to open sometime mid next year. As you can see, construction is already underway. So just one quick thing before I end here. My title at Columbia includes this phrase, which probably no one here has heard of. It's called the fourth purpose. Our last president, Lee Bollinger, coined this phrase. He's the longest serving Ivy president until he stepped down recently. And what it means is for universities to work with outside partners, not just to publish papers and let everyone else kind of translate that knowledge, is that we ourselves have a commitment to actually work directly with outside groups to bring our knowledge to impact. For what we're talking about here, that would involve technology development and translation. Our new president, Minouche Shafik, who started on July 1st this year, said something similar. The idea of scholarship is expanding. We need to collaborate. The research commercialization is actually pointed out here, as well as being more inclusive, demonstrating impact. We have a commitment to doing this now at Columbia. It's my role to help our 17 schools, institutes, all of Columbia to make that happen by working with groups like this. And part of that is being inclusive. So we're talking about the tech pipeline. That was brought up, I think, in the Kips Bay project. But we have this in spades in Harlem and Upper Manhattan. Number of really amazing STEM initiatives happening across both Columbia and CUNY. At Harlem BioSpace, when we started 10 years ago, we also started a sister initiative called Hypothekids, which is still ongoing, has helped a number of high school kids, and it's something that we really believe in here, a lot of us in the region, the West Harlem region. So we hope to do a lot more of this in the future, and in the geographical area that we have the opportunity to do that with our neighbors and partners in Harlem. And in fact, a couple of those community groups are directly in the factory district right now. So West Harlem, really want to emphasize, if you think about Kendall Square, if you think about objectively where the academic centers and real estate opportunities are in all of New York, it's, I believe, a unique innovation cluster that can drive activities for the entire region. Harlem BioSpace Suites is our current space, shared office and labs. We actually have spots open right now, $1,200 a month per scientist. HB at Mink is upcoming next year for private offices and labs. So thanks very much. We still have 4 minutes for questions, if we have time for that. So Nancy, yeah, okay.
Hi, great presentations, really exciting stuff that's happening. I wanted to ask if you could speak to the building selection for your Mount Sinai project and challenges that you encountered in developing the building.
Yeah, so I think that there are a number of challenges that were encountered in building, in repurposing the old, basically garage space to be suitable for science. So they had to, install a lot of means to, extract air, make the building safe in terms of, the kind of, chemicals that get used and stuff like that to make sure that the space was, safe for use. I think in general, though, the process went pretty smoothly and really quite quickly, more or less on time. Since it was opened, there have been a couple of minor issues that have been addressed with engineering, but overall, the space seems to be functioning really, really well. I'd also like to add that, we heard a lot about West Harlem, and there's a really exciting space for development. But this space on West 54th and 11th Avenue is also really ripe for enhanced biotech development. So I mentioned Mount Sinai's new center, and also RPI, which is one of the foremost engineering centers in the world, is now there partnering with us, as well as New York Stem Cell Foundation. But as I'm sure you're aware, there are also a large number of biotech companies located there. Most of that area is car dealerships. And as several people have said to me, New York is really the last place you need a car. And it's a relatively affordable area as well. So both the interim CEO of NYCEF and we at Sinai really think that this is going to be an amazing growing hub for biotech as well.
Great, so now we get a break. I just want to say two things about this last panel. So Midtown West is, one of our fastest growing life science clusters in the city, but so is Manhattanville Factory District. Jerry Saluma is here, one of the partners that is developing the Manhattanville Factory District, the Tasty Building and the Mink Building, where Harlem BioSpace is going. And you can't miss what's going on in Harlem, so I don't think Sam has to worry about that. On November 14th, there will be an open house from 5:30 to 8 at the Tasty Building at the Manhattanville Factory District. We'll be helping Janice to host that with some of the professors at Columbia and CUNY. So everybody is welcome to come. There will be tours of the facilities, so you will be able to see some of the things that Sam was just talking about.